good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are from. Welcome to Global WiLAT Southeast Asia's webinar series. Thank you very much for joining us today. And today it's a webinar, but on a meeting mode, simply because we would like interaction from all of you through when we come to the Q&A portion of our program today. So before I pass the mic over to our Southeast Asia WiLAT chairperson, Dr. Haja Zawiya. Before I pass the mic to her, I would just like to run a few housekeeping rules with everyone. So since we are on a meeting mode, you know, anyone can actually turn on their mics when the session is running. So if you please don't mind, if you're not part of the panel of speakers, and until we open for Q&A, if you could please help us out by turning your mics off so that it does not disturb the session and we can all hear very clearly. Allow me now to invite Dr. Haja Zawiya to give us a few words to open and officiate today's event. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Reshma. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Thank you for your precious time to be with us today. And I'm very honored and also excited and grateful to have all of you here. And thank you also to our remarkable speakers. Yeah. Thank you for preparing such a wonderful slide presentation. I'm very delighted to go through the slide. I hope all of you will gain all this experience and also knowledge. Today, let us explore the potential of halal supply chain and logistics from our speakers that we invite, and thank you for your precious time too. We have here from Malaysia, from Thailand, and also Indonesia. So this is me, my background. So I hope my will be beneficial to everyone. And allow me to share. Okay, next slide, please, Reshma. Okay. So this is Halalan Toiban supply chain stakeholder source from Mitran. Halal supply chain, as we can observe here, we have so many parties involved in this halal supply chain. Even when I do my PhD, I also confused okay, where we are, and then because there are so many parties, and then when everything goes wrong, the blame goes to Jakim. So everything goes to Jakim. So that's why today we will explore what are the potential, and then who are the from the perspective of logistics service provider, from the education. Yeah, we have here so many parties involved. So now more or less we already have some ideas who we are, where we are from the halal supply chain stakeholders. Yeah. Okay. So this webinar is for all. Okay. So next slide, please. Allow me to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Halina Suzana Jaafar. Shapakallah to you and speedy recovery. Yeah, you just have this. You always be positive, but today you are having this COVID positive. So that is, I think. So we pray for you, and then thank you so much because you still, despite your condition, you still be with us. Yeah. So Dr. Halina is also my SIFU in halal supply chain. She has 28 years experience in the academic research consultancy. Yeah. Then she's in the halal supply chain standard with the Standard Malaysia, and also chairman for this TC10 halal supply chain in for Smith. Yeah. There's a lot about Dr. Halina, but I think let us hear from her. Yeah, as she is also the national logistic task at this MOT. So without further ado, let us join me to welcome Dr. Halina with her topic, growing opportunity in the halal supply chain practices. But before that, before Dr. Halina start, I have two questions for her. Okay, so the question, if I am interested to apply OIC, SMIC, SMIIC 17 certification, what is the process that I must go through? Okay, so the next one is how do I estimate the demand of the halal supply chain services? Okay, over to you, Dr.
Okay, so we have to answer the question first before
Yeah.
presentation.
The
Okay.
presentation. I think
Yeah,
the
it's okay.
presentation we go
Yeah,
through.
thank you
then
so much.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zawia. Actually, the first question, how do I apply? Apply for standard OIC SMIC 17. Actually, OIC SMIC, they only produce standards, but they are not the certification body. So when it comes to certification, every country should go to their country auditors. So the auditor of every particular country have to certify that particular certification. So that particular standard from SMIC is only a guideline. All right. So the second question is, how do I estimate the demand? Okay, how do we estimate the demand? It depends on the demand for halal goods. The demand for halal goods, because as you know, transport, logistics, they are derived demand, or we call it indirect demand. So when the demand for halal food is increasing, and indirectly the demand for halal logistics services will also increase. Especially if that particular country make it a mandatory that particular company who have that certification of halal food, they also need to have certification for halal logistics. Okay, so that's how we estimate the demand.
Yeah. So with that answer, okay, let us now listen to the slide presentation Dr. Halina will share with us shortly. Over to you. Thanks, Dr. Halina.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Have you seen my slides?
Not yet, doctor.
Not yet.
Yeah, don't worry, doctor. We understand. I can tell you're very nasally as well. So
Yeah.
we can wait, no worries.
You are our role model despite not being healthy.
Yeah, because I don't want to spoil the organizer, you know, the plan from the organizer. So I just don't want to, you know, spoil your plans. So
we are very grateful. Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay,
Halina.
so that is the topic for my presentation today. Okay, so the growing opportunities in halal supply chain. So as you know, the development of the Islamic economy has established. Everybody is aware of that, and it has an important footing in the global economy. So it's driven by increasing Muslim consumer demand, as well as for dedicated products and services based on Islamic law, Islamic principle that has developed that global subsectors of the halal goods as well as services. So as you know, halal logistics is part of services, halal services. This is what I mentioned just now. You know that halal food has rapidly expanded beyond ritually. It's not only ritually slaughtered or permissible meat in terms of Islamic perspective, but this sector had expanded to halal certified offerings in line with the global nature of food products, ingredient. So the ingredient is no longer sourced from local producers, from local, say for example, Malaysia is not only sourced from local producers, but from multiple locations. So therefore, it increased the complexity and the importance of the role of halal supply chain. So this is what I mentioned just now, how do we estimate the demand? So technology also can become, a factor that enabling the sector to evolve driving important investment as well as venture. So governments also support the development of dedicated halal hubs. So currently, I just straight away jump to the certification. Currently, we have two types of certification. The one that we have in Malaysia actually since 2010, and we, after 5 years, we revised in 2016 and finally published in January 2019. In the meantime, while we develop that, while we revise the halal supply chain standard, I did propose through Standard Malaysia, I come up with a proposal to propose to SMIC to come up with this one technical committee on halal supply chain. And it was accepted at that time, 2016. So as you know, standardization can lead to best practices. So because standards bring positive impact on international trade and also improve the economy. So because we have the OIC country has a diverse nature of economic structures, therefore standards is very important. It calls for having a unified standard development and establishment. So SMIC statute entered into force in May 2010 after a series of deliberation since 1984. So SMIC is affiliated organization of the OIC, was established in August 2010. So the role of SMIC is to develop necessary mechanisms for OIC countries aim to setting new standards for the member states so that trade barriers could be eliminated. So that is basically the main purpose of, having this one unified universal standard among OIC members. In fact, it's not only for OIC members, other countries who are not OIC members or members of SMIC, they can also buy these standards and refer as a guideline. So in 2015, when Malaysia joined SMIC at that time, so this is where 2016 we proposed the development of the standard halal supply chain, okay, and it was accepted. So 2017 we started develop that particular, having the meeting and develop that particular standard. And this is the basically part of the committee from, you see, we are the Malaysia, Standard Malaysia particularly. We are the secretariat and also the chairman of these particular standards. So this is basically standardization in the field of halal supply chain, including transporting, warehousing, storing, retailing, that exclude manufacturing process of halal food, because halal food has their own halal standard based on Islamic jurisprudential rules and ethics. So after from 2017, when we have our first meeting, finally 31st October 2020, the new halal standard has been published. The 3 standards, which they call it as OIC SMIC 17 series. Okay, of course, there's a lot of benefits from these standards. Sometimes you feel that, standards could make your life harder, but actually it gives you a lot benefit to the company. For example, the adoption of halal supply chain management system practice among the member countries allow a standardized universal management practice of handling halal goods across OIC member states. So of course, throughout the border, less time needed for inspection. So it enables a faster movement of halal goods across border, and it can reduce trade barriers. And of course, significant cost saving can be achieved when you are moving faster and cheaper and affordable. Therefore, it goes to cheaper and affordable halal products that could be offered to consumers. Of course, for those who are not particular, not really aware of the concept of halal, it's very simple. The purpose is to avoid cross-contamination. So avoid cross-contamination from what? One is from haram sources, haram substances, that is the religious perspective. And the other one is safety aspect, reduce to avoid cross-contamination from hazardous substances. So as you know, supply chain or logistics can be very complex. So it defeats the purpose of you producing from the production side. You produce a halal product when it comes to the journey, the movement of halal goods, when it involves loading, unloading, and so many activities, you ignore. You ignore the potential contamination. As I said just now, you know, when we have, the ingredients are sourced from various countries, the exposure to become contamination, you know, it's getting higher. So this is basically the standard that we have published in revision 2016 to 2019. So we changed the name to Halal Supply Chain Management System from Halalan Thayyiban Assurance Pipeline previously in 2010. So we have 3: transport, warehousing, and also retailing. So basically, this is the contents of the standards. There are 8 sections. Of course, there are scopes. Basically, these standards adopt from HACCP. So you just add in element, we just add in element of halal. So if your company has already HACCP certified, halalan critical control point, HACCP. So basically, it would be easier for you to get MS 2400. Okay. So this is a standards sections. If you look at ISO also, they have particularly, you know, about the same sections. Normative references, terms and definitions, requirements, preliminary steps to enable risk. So the thing is, we would like to avoid or eliminate the risk of getting contamination. So this is what the standards all about. So if you can see, since we adopt and adapt this MS 2400 to OIC platform, basically it almost similar. In terms of section, in OIC SMIC also they have like 8 sections. Is that the difference is in terms of the clauses, because this OIC SMIC 2020 series address all the 4 Muslim school of thought, 4 mazhabs. Like the one we have in Malaysia is basically particularly focused on mazhab Shafi'i. So I think it's not easy to implement with only the standards. Standards and also other references. We also provide, you know, based in our experience in Malaysia, we provide training programs. Since those standards are not particularly so far different from MS 2400, so I think it almost similar. So we provide, you know, like awareness training program, like 1 day. Implementation, how do you implement? Sometimes you don't know how to implement. That's what the feedback we get from Malaysia. How to audit, auditing, and how to get certification, because we don't know where to start, you know, the activities. And finally, we also conduct a halal executive program that develops skills of the halal executive. So I think, but this is only just a guideline, you know, detail we can, you know, if any companies, you know, interested, we can discuss in detail and that suits your particular needs. Okay. So I think since we have only, I think about 8 minutes. Okay. So I think that's all for today, for my presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Halina. So short, sweet, and precise. So now we understand how the process on the OIC SMIT 17 certification, as well as the demand on the training for the halal supply chain services. Yeah. So next, we will call. Allow me to introduce Prof. Dr. Pakon. Reshma, could you please share Prof. Pakon biodata? Okay, so I will read through. Okay, Prof. Dr. Pakon Priyakon got a Doctor of Philosophy in Public Management from University of Cambridge. So is a former Dean of Graduate School of Public Administration of National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Director of NIDA Training Center, as well as now NIDA International College, and also Executive Board of the NIDA Council. So his specialization include public management, strategic management, project planning, and also management, public and private partnership, public law and management, and also local governance. Wow, vast experience. Although Prof. Dr. Pakon is from Thailand, but I first met him in Istanbul, yeah, where we have meeting on this the standard. So on halal management affair in Thailand, Prof. Pakon is also director of the Halal Standard Institute of Thailand, and also represent Thailand to the standard, the SMIT, as I told you earlier. He's a member of the technical committee of Halal Supply Chain Management Standard, Halal Quality Management System Standard, Halal Tourism, and also related standard. So topic today is Thailand's experience in implementing halal logistic and supply chain management. Yeah, we love to go to Thailand. Just imagine the food and all the culture there. Okay, so before we start, I also have question for Prof. Pakon, which Prof. Pakon will answer through the presentation. The question is, to what extent do you think the cooperation between the public and private company in Thailand do contribute to the development of the halal supply chain and halal supply chain standard? So with this question, so we will go through with Prof. Pakon, his slide presentation. Over to you, Prof. Pakon. You have to unmute.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
can see.
Okay.
A very good afternoon to you all. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the organizing committee to invite me to participate in a very interesting webinar. And I just known exactly from Dr. Khalina about 2 weeks ago, but I think it is very good opportunity for us to take part in this particular event, of course. I share my slide and then. So my presentation is about Thailand's experiences in implementing halal logistics and supply chain management system. Of course, I will answer your question later on. And then I think you will understand a lot about the first question, to what the extent to which the cooperation between the public organizations and private companies in Thailand to contribute to the development of halal logistic and supply chain management standard. Right. My outline is 4 parts, but I try to focus mainly on the 3rd and the 4th part. That is to say, we are. I would like to let you know a bit about Thailand. Of course, you well known that Thailand is non-Muslim countries, but we have a lot of effort to strengthen our halal products from Thailand. At the moment, we are very strong global position as the kitchen of the world since the year 2000, and we are one of 10 biggest countries exporting halal products to the world. At the moment, we have at least around 160,000 products, and around 30 of them export to so many countries. We are also top ranked in world touristic destination with Muslim-friendly hospitality services, and also we are top medical hub of foreign parents and relatives. Of course, we are one of the best destination for health and wellness. Thailand became an observer country, so the Standards and Methodology Institute for Islamic Countries, or OECD CIMICS, since the 1st January 2017. That was very, lucky that the OECD CIMICS invited us to be a part, but we are non-Muslim countries. We can be only an observer countries. But again, we have a lot of opportunities to take part closely with countries from OIC throughout. And of course, we work together with Malaysia and Indonesia. Indonesia just come to join CIMIC around 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And so in this sense, we have been working together very well. Of course, Thailand is quite unique because we are a non-Muslim country, but the government supports us by giving full authority to Central Islamic Council of Thailand and the Islamic Committee of the provinces. We have altogether 41 halal certification body, and halal certification in Thailand has been continually improved by the genuine support of the Royal Thai government throughout the past 2 decades or so. I don't want to go into detail on that because my focus should be on logistic or transportation, right? Thailand has a unified halal certification system with a single halal logo. There is no private halal certification bodies in Thailand. This is our logo, halal logo. It's a very famous one, right? And Thailand initiated the first codex-based halal food standard in the year 1998 by the support of the Ministry of Industry. From then, the development of halal products and services began accelerated moving, right? About halal standard, Institute of Thailand and Halal Science Center at Chulalongkorn University, I'm sure you may know about Halal Science Center at Chulalongkorn University. Both organizations was established by the Royal Thai Cabinet. For Halal Standard Institute of Thailand, we established in the year 2002, and the Halal Science Center established in 2003. Both organizations working together to support SICOT. My institute work as an academic pillar, whereas Halal Science Center work as the scientific pillar of halal verification. Halal Science Center of Chulalongkorn University put a lot of contribution to Halal Standard Institute of Thailand and SICOT, as well as other public and private organizations to produce quality halal products, right? Given high growth potential of business, the government has put a lot of effort to position Thailand as one of the 10 exporters of halal products and services in the world. This is where you can answer your first question, right? The cooperation between the public organization and private enterprises create a lot of opportunities for halal industrial development nowadays. And the significance of Thai halal products strategic intention is based upon 2 important dimensions. The first one is called religious certified and halal science supports. Of course, we are non-Muslim country. We have to make sure that we can support the enterprise in producing under the theme producing halal products under the theme of precision halalization. The first national halal food standard was announced by the National Bureau of Agricultural Commodity and Food Standard under the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives in the year 2007. This standard was drafted by the technical committees of Halal Institute, Halal Standard Institute of Thailand. This is the system, halal management system, halal verification and certification system in accord with the SICOT's Halal Management Affair 2015. About the type of certification, of course, transportation and logistics is one type of product out of those a lot of products. Now I will focus mainly on this point, transportation and or logistics standard. Actually, Thailand had no specific halal standard or logistic and supply chain yet. In the year 2016, SICOT considered applying the halal food standard on part of preparation, processing, transportation, and storage as a basis of regulation on halal transportation and logistic requirements. SICOT issued specific guidelines on basic standard operating procedure on halal logistics and supply chain in 2016. SICOT and Halal Standard Institute of Thailand provided training programs on halal logistics and supply chain to any company who apply for verification and certification. Of course, we use a lot of Malaysian standards as a basic guideline at that time, right? The first company who got halal certification from Central Islamic Council of Thailand was Yusen Logistic. You may know about this company before because Yusen was operate in both in Indonesia and and Malaysia as well, right? The president of Yusen insisted that with our first halal certification in Thailand, we will continue to develop our global halal logistic services together with Yusen in Malaysia, Indonesia, and delivering supply chain that meet customer needs as supply chain logistics provider, offering halal logistics in Thailand. That is very, very, very good for both SICOT and of course the logistic companies in Thai society. The certified warehouse is Yusen Lam Chabang Logistics Center, Group 2, Warehouse number 3, located approximately 20 kilometers from Lam Chabang Deep Sea Port in Eastern Economic Corridor. Part of the warehouse space and truck enters the exit, and exit has been renovated to halal specification. The halal space is separated by sheets and there is a special purpose hand washing area. Using staff were trained in correct handling method to carry out operations following this procedure, using halal only hand lifts and pallet within this area. And we use Yusen company as best practices for the company who want to apply for halal certification. In terms of the government policy, at the moment we are in the third Thailand Logistic Development Plan. The plan was launched by the National Economic and Social Development Council in 2016. This is the strategic vision of this plan. And this is also the strategic goals. Thailand becomes competitive in logistics management with a highly efficiency facilitation process. Thai logistics service providers have the capability to locally and internationally, and logistic personnel are trained to increase their competences. This is the 3 strategy and 11 sub-strategies. I don't want to go into detail on that, but on
very interesting sharing from Prof. Unfortunately, we have limited time. Can we have 1 minute more to conclude? Thank you.
Okay, at the moment, Halal Standard Institute of Thailand was pushed and supported by the NESDC to set up a specific technical committee for drafting halal logistic and supply chain standard. Whereas at the same time, OIC CIMIC published, as Dr. Halina just mentioned early on in 2020, and we used this published standards, OIC CIMIC 17 Part 1, 2, and 3, as our basic guidelines for the drafted halal logistic and supply chain management system standard. We hope we can finish our standard by the end of 2024. That's all I want to say for your for my presentation. Of course, when we are talking about OIC CIMIC, it is very useful for Thailand to adopt that as a basic guideline, as I mentioned. Thank you very much indeed for your interest.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Pakon. In fact, this is very impressive sharing, where we understand what do Thailand can offer. So this answered the question saying that the cooperation between the public organization and also the private companies in Thailand. So thank you, Prof. Pakon. We hope to listen more from you, actually a lot more, but we have limited time. So now we would like to call from Indonesia. From Indonesia, we have Prof. Okay, we have here Prof. Dr. Yuliani Dewi Lestari, Associate Professor of Sustainable Operation Management, Research Group Operation and Performance Management, Research Center of Islamic Business and Finance, as well as School of Business and Management, ITB, Bandung, Indonesia. So working experience, vast experience, Prof. Yuli, and also a lot of research publication. So with that, thank you, Prof. Yuli. Let us explore now from Thailand to Indonesia. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Zawia. Let me share my screen. Okay, so can you see this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon to all participants, panel speakers. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Today I'd like to share about halal logistic practices in Indonesia. Because I underline the term practices, what I'm going to explain is much more in the operational level. I'm going to explain one example also, best practice of halal logistic in Indonesia. Okay, so when we are talking about halal logistic, then the first thing to understand, of course, the regulations governing this aspect. In Indonesia, the direction is clear that products that enter, circulate, and trade in Indonesia are mandatory to have halal certifications. And the scope of products is not only for food, but also non-food. And for the services, it's not only limit for slaughtering, processing, as we know, but then it's also covering storage, packaging, distributions, and also sales until that the product received by the customers. It implies that Indonesia wants to ensure that the halal status of the product is guaranteed, while in the scope of activities, supply chain, and also logistic management. And the umbrella of the regulations described in Halal Act number 33, 2014, it consists of 11 sections explaining about general requirements of halal, the products, administration's matter, process, procedures, until explaining about criminal provisions and also transitional provisions. And actually, there are also derivatives rule, such as government regulations number 39 of 2021. This is the newest one, explaining more detail on the tactical level, including the actors that later on the company needs to dealing with when they are applying for halal certifications, such as GPH, that is an agency of halal product assurance. And then we have BPGPH, is an agency of administrator for halal product assurance. LPH is Agency of Halal Inspection Related Matters, or auditor. And if later on you've heard term about MUI, that is Indonesian Council of Ulama. Another regulations of the Minister of Industry, number 17 of 2020, it's concerning procedures for obtaining a certificate in the context of establishing a halal industrial area. In the operational level, in Indonesia, we use what we call as HAS, Halal Assurance System. HAS 23,000, that is the umbrella of the system, explaining the details of the general terms of halal certifications requirements. But then the other codes applied for more specific subsectors, such as for processing industry with the code 23101, slaughterhouse, for restaurant, and including for logistic services under HAS 23106. So later on, if you need to see the details in the website of MUI, they provide the documents there. So if we map this halal assurance system, the HAS 23,000 as the umbrella, it's explaining from the upstreams to downstream. Everything's about halal in terms of the product and also the process. But then for 23106, this will be more specific, focusing process from storage, transport, distributions until the products received by the customers. And then what is the general process in getting these halal certifications? Then it will be started by registrations by the company. And then later on, BPGPH will appoint for auditor, which is LPH, and they will conduct audit. There will be verifications process from both BPGPH and also MUI. And once they release fatwa that the companies are fulfilling all the halal standard, then they will provide halal certificate, and the company will get permissions to display the halal logo on their packaging or their store, office, and so on. So this is the summary of general principles from the halal logistics, halal assurance system, where a company needs to fulfill all of these principles. So first, of course, that the management should represent or shows that they have commitment, determine and specialize in halal policy on their business. And they have to overlook the halal management teams. They need to make sure that they have qualified human resource, understand about halal standard. They have clear duties, responsibilities, and authority. They need to have training program, not only from internal, that must be conducted at least once a year, but also external training, at least once in 2 years. And then the products that they store or deliver must not originate from forbidden materials, including the name. So both the products and also the name needs to be appropriate. Okay? And the firms needs to ensure that there is no cross-contamination with forbidden materials. And most important thing is they need to have written procedures about performing critical activities, starting from transportations, receiving product in their warehouse, storage process, traceability, even handling of products that do not meet the criteria. And these written procedures also include the internal audits for implementing the halal assurance system, and the company must perform management's review periodically. Okay, so as long as company fulfilling this, it will be a big chance to get certifications. If you take a look on the current data, at the end of 2018, the number of firms with halal certificate is increased significantly. But then when we have regulations for from Halal Act and also the other derivatives rules, up to now, there are even more than 31,000 companies applying for halal certifications, and 24% from it are large and also medium-sized business. So this shows that it's a good trend happening now in Indonesia. And specifically from these numbers, there are several logistic providers with halal assurance system certificate. At the end of 2019, there were only about 10, but up to now, it's double the number. We have 20 companies focusing on logistics with halal assurance certificate. And what makes it interesting is some of them are Indonesian companies and some of them are foreign firms operating in Indonesia. So it is shows that in Indonesia, halal logistics now it's growing. Yeah? And now I'm gonna continue with one example case from Iron Bird Logistics in Indonesia. Last year, me and also one of the representative from Iron Bird also sharing about halal logistics. So I summarize the material because we have limited time, but I hope that it can provide you an example in the operational level on how to run halal logistic business. Yeah. So in the beginning, Iron Bird, of course, has motivations why they should shifting from just traditional logistic into halal logistic. Market, of course, that will be a main reason. Indonesia is the #1 highest consumers for halal product in the world. And with the regulations from Indonesia, the company not seeing halal certifications just as a trend, but finally they see this as a necessity. And at the same time, they want to use this as their uniqueness, provide value added for the company. And in fact, after they implement this halal logistic, they claim that they can get benefits from both financial, economic, and non-financial. Because at the same time, they will grow together with their client, especially business to business. They work with restaurant companies that selling halal product. So to support their claim that the product is halal, their position as the logistic providers needs to be consistent also, supported with a certification of halal. So they grow together. And by doing this, they improve their customers and also public trust. At the end, can improve the reputations and also the business sustainability. And how did they get the halal certification? So there are 6 general steps, which actually...
Sorry, Prof. Yuli, got to interrupt. Okay, 1 minute more.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much for the reminder. So the 6th step is basically consistent with the general principle of halal logistics, starting from defining the operationalizations of the standard, and then provide training, keeping the cleanliness of the infrastructure. The process needs to comply with halal standard, and also conducting audit. Yeah? And this is only a visualization on how they develop the standard operating procedures, training, cleaning process, loading, unloading, including audit. Okay. And these pictures shows the control activities where they use technology also to track and trace the vehicle from warehouse until the product received by the customers. Okay. So this is the transport management system, the GPS features they use. And this is my last slide. That although in Indonesia, the trend shows a positive trend in halal logistics, of course, there are still some challenges that we can see from market point of view, firm, and also government. From market point of view, still many people think that halal logistics will result in higher cost or rate, will be more expensive. This is something that we need to educate, and also low understanding about existence of halal logistics. From firm, they still think that it will be costly, needs financial capital, and perhaps once they commit, the support might not be there. So this is also perceptions that we need to how to call it, overcome, yeah, by giving appropriate training to them. And from the government point of view, they think that it's just a matter of resistance to change, because we think that the regulation is there. It's just a matter of willingness, and also improve the coordinations among the management units and certification process. Okay. So I think that's all my presentations, Professor. Thank you very much for
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Yuli. This is very impressive. Now we understand what is the economic benefit, because yesterday we have first IBF launch networking in Indonesia. So there's a lot of company, so they also can look into this halal supply chain as well as halal supply chain business for sustainability. Yeah, so it is very interesting, but we run out of time. Sorry, speakers got a lot of to share. Yeah, so next I would like to welcome Dr. Nur Aida, Associate Professor at University Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, she's not new to me. Yeah, okay. So currently serve as Head of Aviation Management. Yeah, she's also my SIFU. Research area resolved in strategic management, marketing, logistics, halal logistics, supply chain management, supply chain relationship, air travel, and tourism. Her research has been published in several reputation journals. Yeah, so I learned a lot from her, and also want to thank her to join us today. And also, she published numbers of books and the recent halal logistics and supply chain. Also part of the editorial teams for book project with Roslis and Springler. And also she's a panel of WG in MS 2400 Halal Supply Chain Standard and TC10 for Halal Supply Chain Standard SMITS. And also she earned PhD degree from Brunel University, London, UK, and also CMILT, as well as the Vice President Research Journal for INRME, as well as Jakim Halal Certified Trainers, UniKL Halal Professional Board, and members of the Academic of Marketing UK. So Dr. Prof. Nur Aida will share with us on what is the halal logistic and supply chain research, recent development on academic research and publication. Yeah. Okay, with that, actually I reserved the question for earlier on with Prof. Julie as well as Prof. Nur Aida. So please welcome Prof. Nur Aida. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator, Dr. Hajar Zawia. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Assalamualaikum and very good evening to everybody. Here in Nilai is raining heavily. I hope the session will be no interruptions throughout my presentation. So, okay, just now we have listened from the other three speakers who explained about their experience with halal logistic operations in their country, in Thailand as well as in Indonesia, and also from Dr. Halina, we have listened about the current updates on the international halal standards mix on TC10 halal supply chain. And for this session, I will talk from the academic point of view. Okay, the recent developments on academic research and publications in the area of halal logistics and supply chain. All right, if you can see here, we know that the global Muslim populations is increased, as well as the global halal market value, because as according to Statista report, as you can see here, reported that in 2019, Muslim will spend a total of $2.02 trillion across the food, travel, clothing, and so on. Right. So and then according to the Statista report as well, so these numbers will be increased by the year 2024 with global spending of global Muslim towards halal market to $2.4 trillion. Okay, and this global halal consumer spending is not only it's not only for food, but also for the other products like halal pharmaceuticals, halal cosmetics, halal fashions and travels. All right. So with the increased numbers of populations, with the increased numbers of halal markets, as well as consumer spending on the foods, the demand from many countries across the globe, of course, the movement of the halal products also are increased, right? There is a demand, increased demand for halal logistics, specifically in halal transport as well as halal warehouse. So with the increased demand, with the increased operations of halal logistics and transport throughout the supply chain, of course, there are many issues or problems or challenges that they are facing So we are at the universities as an academicians, of course, we work together with the industry to pick up all these issues and then try to study on the challenges that they are facing so that the industry of halal logistics can be improved. All right, so this analysis that I'm going to share, that I share with you, is actually analysis on past and recent publications with regards to halal logistics and supply chain. All right, so as you notice, I know that some of you also are academicians, right? So we know that all the research that has been published, we can get it from many databases, whether it is Web of Science database or Scopus database or Science Direct. So what I'm going to share with you today is a trend analysis based on my analysis extractions of the articles from Scopus database. Okay, so when I use keywords of halal supply chain, so I can find actually 240 articles that actually discuss on the issue of halal supply chain. So so we can see here from the documents by year. So the halal supply, if we search for supply chain articles, there are thousands of articles, right? But in halal supply chain, it is quite limited. We can only find around 240, even not reach 300, right? So this data is actually up to date as yesterday. Okay, so I just ran this the analysis yesterday. All right, so we can see that the popularity of halal supply chain is actually starts from 2015, and we can see the trend is actually increased right until now. Okay, so the earlier publications on halal supply chain, we can find it in year 2008. With total numbers is only 2, and then we can see the numbers 2009, 2010 is a very slowly growing, and then when it reached 2015, from 6 a year published in 2015 that talks or discuss on halal supply chain, then we can see it start growing popularity. So we can see the numbers is increasing from 18 in 2016 until now in 2021 got 40, and even 2022 also we already have 8 articles that has been published in this Scopus database that discuss on the issues of halal supply chain. So this is halal supply chain. When I zoom in a little bit more, because we know that halal supply chain may have many issues, not necessarily on logistics and transport only, but maybe some other issues on tracking or tracing on halal supply chain. So I zoom in the database into halal transport. Okay, so but before that, okay, this is from halal supply chain analysis as well. So we can see the total majority of the publications that discuss on halal supply chain is coming from Malaysia and Indonesia. So this is not a surprise numbers lah, not a surprise findings, because we know that Malaysia is leading in the global in the halal industry and being a reference to many countries, right? And followed by Indonesia. But what interestingly is we can see that there is also articles from United Kingdom, India, Australia, China, South Korea, which is coming from non-Muslim country that also study on halal supply chain. Meaning that the awareness or the interest of researching halal logistics or halal supply chain are not only coming from Muslim country, but also coming from non-Muslim country. Okay, so all of these articles are being published in article journals, book chapters, conference papers, and so on. Right. So as I mentioned just now is a trend analysis in the area of halal supply chain, and then I zoom into halal logistics. Then we can see that there are a total of 148 from 200 plus just now that focus on specifically in halal logistics studies. Okay. So halal logistics, first paper is actually early. The first coin of the first terms of halal logistics has been coined in this article published in 2007. Okay, and then we can also see the trend is actually quite slow, the numbers until it reached 2013 or 2014, then the numbers is also increased. Okay, so we can see it starts gaining probability when the awareness about halal logistics issues, more publications, then more people awareness, and then the increased numbers of halal of the logistics service provider that certified in any countries also leads to this increased numbers of the publications, right? So we can see that it is aligned with the popularity of halal markets worldwide, and same goes to the publications on halal logistics. So it starts growing from year to year, and we can see here from this. I have put the table on the right side. You can see, and 2022 now we are in February, right? So it's already 5 articles that that already published in this year. That discuss on the issues of halal logistics, right? So when I zoom in a little bit more, okay, to halal transport, but before that, okay, this one I share. So the leading journals and the leading journals or resource of journals that publish works on halal logistics and supply chain is leading by Journal of Islamic Marketing, coming from Emerald Publisher, and followed by International Journal of Supply Chain, British Food Journals, and so on. All right. So as I mentioned to you, okay, so when I zoom in a little bit more on halal transport and transportations, there are only 57 articles, right, that looks into this issue. So what can we say here? There are a strong opportunity, and there are very wide opportunity for halal scholars to further investigate issues on halal transportation, maybe in with the in terms of tracking and tracing and other things lah, the challenges that the LSP are growing and so on. So from this analysis, we can find that the halal transportations study in 2011 we found one, and then the maximum number we can see is 2011. So in 2021 there is reductions or in terms of the number of publications from 11 to 6. So during this time, maybe because of we are having pandemic, so maybe because of the supply chain disruptions, or maybe and also pandemic COVID that hits every industry as well as us as academicians, so the numbers is increased. So that I hope these numbers can be increased again by this year, right? Okay, so again, for the study on halal transport, we can see that Malaysia is also leading again, right? Then we have Indonesia, China, United Kingdom, India, Jordan, Netherlands, Oman, as well as South Korea is also interested to study on halal transportation. So we can see that it is a good sign that the halal logistics is actually being recognized by non-Muslim country, and then can see why is it important to have halal logistics certificate. For example, maybe not for business point of view, maybe for the image, and what the most important thing is to ensure the end-to-end supply chain of the halal product. So so what we can see here, it is not only a research interest by Muslim researcher maybe, but also non-Muslim country researcher. Okay. And also I tried to get some informations on study on halal warehouse. Then I found that there are 13 documents that is published on halal warehouse. So there are not many. They are not still not many. So there are a very big opportunity for future scholars to further look into the issues of halal warehouse, especially when last year when we experienced on controversies of halal meat cartels and so on, right? So how the the documentations at halal warehouse and so on. This can also be studied by the future researchers. So we can see here the first halal warehouse study. It has been researched in 2012, and then not many. The highest is in year 2017. 2018 got one paper, 2019, 2020, and I hope maybe the numbers can be increased. All right. So as I mentioned, this is based on the analysis based on the Scopus database, right? Okay, so knowing the significance numbers of or significant interest in halal logistics and supply chain research, myself as well as Dr. Hajar Zawia, we actually start an initiative to produce edited books that we can call many scholars or authors in the area of halal logistics and supply chain to share about their issues that they are experiencing in their countries. Okay, so this is among the key challenges that it has been discussed and being reported, certification bodies, the information sharings, and so on. All right, so from all of these key challenges discussed, and then the issues that we gather from the analysis of the importance of halal logistics and supply chain, so we have come out with this first book. So this book has been published with international publisher. It's a top publisher in the United Kingdom under group Taylor and Francis Group. I believe Prof. Yuli also one of the contributors for this chapter, right? Thank you very much, and also Dr. Halina also for the next second books. Myself and Dr. Hajar Zawia. So thank you to Prof. Yuli as well as Prof. Halina for your chapters contributions to these chapters. Okay. Maybe we can invite also Dr. Pakon to write about the halal logistic development in Thailand. So what is interesting about this book publication on halal logistic, the first book on halal logistic on supply chain management in Southeast Asia is coming, the case is coming from Southeast Asia only. But for this book, the second book, which is gonna be published officially on 31st March 2022, this one. Okay, so the contributors are coming from many countries. We have from UK, we have from Japan, we have from Korea, we have from Spain, right? Oman, Africa. So the issues being discussed is more wide. Of course, Malaysia and Indonesia also have, right? So another books that we work together with Hajar Zawia is on halal supply chain integrity. Okay, so this one is more like a simple textbooks that explain about the integrity in halal supply chain, the assurance of halal supply chains. So this gonna be, we're not sure we have signed the contract, but all the manuscript also has been submitted, but signed contract and everything. But the publication, we're not sure whether it's gonna be end of this year or early next year. Okay, so if you want to know more about these books and reference with regards to halal logistics and supply chain, maybe you can refer to these two books that already published, as well as this one is already in the Routledge website. Okay, and for future works, we plan to look into the methods and applications in halal logistics and supply chain. Okay, so we are looking for more contributors, and I hope maybe Prof. Yuli, Dr. Halina, as well as Dr. Pakon can also contribute in this book project. Okay, so I think that's all from my presentation. For my presentations, thank you very much. Over to you again, Dr. Hajar.
Prof. Aida. Okay, there's a lot of opportunity in the area of developments. Okay, so I reserve my question for Prof. Aida because I would like to take a question from the audience. Thank you so much. So this is now also gonna be our networking where we the question. Let me read from the chat box. If you have any question, you can also on your camera and ask directly. Okay, so thank you for the question, and we have here from Fabi said that pleasure to be here. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely will
Ma'am,
increase knowledge. Yeah.
Ma'am, can we just indicate that if anyone wants to release their mic, they just use the reaction button before they
Okay.
release their mic. Thanks, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Reshma. Okay, so let me just go through. Okay, this one, organizer from Sharifa, you want training material. I have to check with organizer. Rifki from Indonesia, we would like to ask possibility for asking the honorable speaker this webinar to be speaker on our incoming webinar series. Yes, you can contact us. Okay, then organizer again, slide. Okay, I go through very fast because I want to save time for other. We have closing speech from our global chairperson. And okay, now I have here one question from Prof. Sabaria Muhammad. Assalam, would like to get the view of speaker on the effective role of consumers and consumer association in ensuring and promoting halal logistic for all halal product. Okay, so this is the question. Okay, we have Prof. Sabaria. Prof. Sabaria, anybody, any speaker that you would like to dedicate to?
Maybe,
Okay.
ma'am, you can address the question to Dr. Harlina. Maybe we can start like that. Yeah.
Okay, can we have Dr. Alina to answer that?
So, Dr. Harlina, did you get the Did you get the question?
Unmute, ni from Halina. Okay. Effective role of consumers and consumer
what's the role of
association.
consumers? And consumer associations in promoting halal. Maybe you give a Malaysian perspective. Release my
unmute ni Prof. Alina.
Okay, of course, consumers play a vital role in in making halal logistics and efficient, because they are actually the final recipient of the halal product. Okay, so because as I've mentioned just now, it defeats the purpose of having this halal produced product, but they lack on the looking at the potential contamination throughout the logistic process. Because you know why? I think because in logistics is business to business context. That's why in terms of when you talk about final consumer, they might not aware what happened in the logistic process, like what is in the port, how the goods is carried, by the lorry. So unless those consumers are involved in that particular industry, okay, so that's why it's very important to come up with kind of training or awareness to the final consumer that logistics is very important. Okay, that logistic company also need to apply this halal certification. In fact, some other matured countries like Japan, they request the certification body to make sure that these halal products need to come up with halal logistics as well, certified halal logistics, or else this halal logistic company might think that their effort to implement this halal logistics is not worth. But recently in Malaysia, I think the certification body has also come up with that particular, not to say written regulation, stating that halal products should accompany with halal logistics certification of their halal logistics provider. So that's it depends on what type of consumer, that whether they are aware or not. If I think they need to be, we need to make them aware of the you know, the importance of this halal logistics that can lead to, that has the potential to lead to contamination. That's my view. I don't
Okay,
know whether
thank
I'm
you.
answering it, Puan Sabaria.
Savaria, okay.
Can I add in, Dr. Harlina, can we say that track and traceability would help consumers in
Yes.
being sure? Like, I think if there is track and traceability in the logistics and supply chain of
Yes.
halal goods, I think that would, maybe consumers like us would want to see these kind of things take place, so we are assured that
Yes,
it is
yes.
completely halal.
Yes.
And can I just add one more thing, ma'am? I'm sorry, but there was a question in the chat box about asking for our speakers in Indonesian event. I would just like to ensure that the parties in Indonesia, please contact CILT Indonesia for your events in Indonesia. They will be able to help you out. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Reshma. I think one more I would like to add is that by doing this kind of webinar, this is also an awareness and also knowledge for consumer to know better about what is halal supply chain and halal logistics all about. Yeah. Okay, so next question we have here. Okay, I would like to ask, is there any positive result after a company implementing halal logistics financially or other aspect? Risky from Indonesia, eh? Okay, so this one, since from Indonesia, can we have Prof. Yuli?
Yeah, that's definitely, because just like the example as I mentioned with Iron Bird, they claim that even they spend additional investment costs for the halal infrastructure, but then they have ability to design effective and efficient process, and at the same time also able to have growth mindset where with more capital, but at the same time they gain more revenue by opening new business opportunity and also trust from the clients, and that will be a success, success factor to make sure that they can gain economic and non-economic benefit. And it's also happened, like for example in the cosmetic, previously we have Wardah halal cosmetic. In the past people didn't really understand why should cosmetic should be halal. It will be more expensive at that time, but then when the market they understand the value added, finally the product accepted. And now even the market share in Indonesia is greater than 30%, and they success to export. And we hope that later on the trend in halal logistic will be similar with the cosmetic sector. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yuli. So the next question is from Atik Rohayu. Whether this become urgent requirement in the market, how about in Malaysia? Is it now already become mandatory in Malaysia real market? So in Malaysia still, okay, this one, who would like to answer? Atik, from Atik Rohayu. Atik Rohayu is from Indonesia?
Yeah, but I think, ma'am, Dr. Harlina already answered that question,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Actually already
So
been
we will move on, okay. So still in Malaysia, it is on the certification, it is not compulsory, but it is very necessary, yeah. Okay, so salam all. Now food delivery, Grab Food, Fanda is widely used since COVID-19. How to ensure that the food delivered is not mixed between halal and haram food? What is the role of the parties involved in addressing these issues? So again, Dr. Halina.
Yeah. Okay, actually, if you want, I mean, if a particular company want to practice halal logistic, there is no way except to, you know, segregate it or dedicated it, dedicate the food only for halal food, and either that company only cater for halal food, or they can segregate in terms of the food rider, whether that food rider carry, you know, I think what is happening in Malaysia is that
from what I heard from these riders, food riders, firstly, they will be asked whether do they want to carry this non-halal, or if they don't want, they will specify only carry halal product. Okay, but for those who don't mind, they will carry non-halal. So
Yes.
this is because I think there's no way to practice halal if you don't want to have that dedicated service, as well as a segregation of halal and non-halal. So that's the criteria.
Maybe, doctor, we should come up with a new casing, where we can have one side halal, one side non-halal.
Yeah,
The guy carries that bag. Maybe
Yeah.
that would be a new product that the
Yeah.
market can think about. Yeah.
I think that is good for innovative and creative
But,
in
That's what
there's
we do with
delivery.
dangerous goods. We
yeah.
just put a
Yeah.
wall in between.
Actually, there's an attempt of that previously, but the thing is the rider who carry that particular non-halal also carry halal, so that's become an issue.
Yeah.
So that's why perhaps Jakim don't really like it, so that's an issue, unless you wear gloves when you carry this non-halal, and change the gloves every time you carry that particular product. That could be one of the options.
Yeah. I think this is also good for research study. Another issue, area of research. Okay, so next question, again from Puan Sabaria. Halal supply chain and halal logistic is only the concern of the elite community. How about the interest of the rural areas consumer, who actually should be responsible to ensure adherence to halal supply chain principles?
Okay, I think that's a good question, but I think when you talk about delivery of halal goods, I think it shouldn't be you differentiate between a rural area or urban areas. As what I understand from the practice in Malaysia, sometimes rural area, this food delivery does not deliver that particular halal goods at rural area. In fact, not only halal, but in terms of food delivery, they don't reach there, like a rural area. So basically it's about origin to destination. So it doesn't matter whether that particular destination is rural or is urban, they have to follow the same practice. So that's what I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Shall we wrap it up, ma'am?
Yes,
Because we'll
I
get,
just about to say that we have a lot of questions here. If you can drop your email so we can answer that, the organizer will answer that. So we would like to thanks everyone, and our apology if there is any shortcoming from me, not from the speaker. The speaker, excellent presentation. In fact, we want more. Unfortunately, limited time, so we will have more of this kind of webinar for sharing. And with that, I would like to say thank you to all our speaker, especially to Dr. Lina. Please take care, your health, and everyone, please stay safe. And as I said earlier to Reshma, COVID-19, all of us can be infected, not a surprise. If you are not infected, then be surprised. So it's become common, so please take care. Okay.
Ma'am, are we passing the floor now to Vicky?
To Vicky. Okay.
Yeah, because unfortunately, Madam Gayani couldn't join us today. So we're very lucky to have Madam Vicky Koo with us, who will take us through and give the benefit of everybody of what Global WiLAT is all about. Over to you, Vicky.
Thank you, Reshma. A very good afternoon or good day to every one of you around the world. I saw Finbar is in the seminar, so I should say good morning to you. And I'm very honored to give a few words on the seminar on behalf of Madam Gayani Diawis, who is our WiLAT Global Chairperson. Unfortunately, she cannot join us today, But on her behalf, I would like to first of all congratulate Zawiya and also Reshma for another well-organized, well-managed webinars done. The webinar was full of information, full of knowledge that we all love to grab. And thank you, and hope more will come in the future. Yes. So a little bit about WiLAT. I'm not going to show the PowerPoint because I have noticed the time it has been overrun. So I will keep it very brief. But for those who do not know WiLAT, or Women in Logistics and Transport, we are one of the forums under CILT International. And we have branches, most of the CILT branches, and also some of the uncharted areas as well. So right now we have about 34 countries already established WiLAT. And we hope we will bring more to our family very soon. WiLAT has been established with a purpose to provide a platform to support women in our industry. We like to promote the status of women in this very male-dominated industry because of a need for that in the history. And we are trying to contribute to the development to introduce more women in the workforce and also at the executive level. And we are very much interested in promoting the diversity and inclusion. We are not saying that women is better than men, but in fact, we are trying to tell and share our ideas how we can work even more effectively together. So that is our purpose. And because of that, our global chairperson has established 5 priorities during her term. And one of the very major ones is to enhance the capability, the capacity of our women. So we have the WiLAT Capacity Building Center established since last year, and we have a full year of programs to be offered to support women to learn and grab the latest knowledge and technologies and know-hows that you need to have for the industry today. You can contact Reshma or myself if you need more details of that. And all of those are CPD certificates recognized by CILT International. And how we are structured, because we have 34 branches of WiLAT already, we need to have a structure to support all the local chapters. So we have appointed global vice chairpersons to look after each regions. And we also have a secretariat office headed by Doreen, who is also in this webinar, to provide support and guidance to all the chapters. And we are very lucky. We are very happy to have Zawiya. She has been enthusiastic and taking the lead in developing the Southeast Asia region for us. Not just Malaysia, but also bringing in Indonesia. And very soon, I have heard that Thailand is also a potential for us. So thank you, Zawiya. And with all the help from and support from Reshma, I'm sure it will be a very successful region. Okay. So today we congratulate you once again for this very successful Halal seminar. I would also like to thank Finbar, who is so, we appreciate your effort and braveness to take up the initiative of including Halal knowledges in the CILT system so that all of our members and friends in the CILT families can learn more about the subject matters. It is a very important and is a growing subject for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. I learned a lot from Vicky through WiLAT Capacity Building Center. So do visit us, do visit our website. Okay, so till we meet again. Okay, can we on cameras so that we can take
Yeah,
photos?
and can we be, yes, so we can all on our cameras and we can all be free and easy now. So the serious session is over.
So we already
Thank you
end the
very
session.
much, everyone.
Thank you to Tuan Haji Ramli. Tuan Haji Ramli, Haji Abi. From
Man,
so,
Haji
yeah.
Abi. Haji Abi had wanted to share something, sir. Please do share.
Yes. So we already end our webinar. So this is our free time networking. So enjoy our own coffee.
Yeah, so I'll take a photograph of the first screen. If everyone can put their cameras on. 1, 2, 3, first screen, second screen, some cameras are off, but never mind. Okay, we're done. Thank you very much,
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Vicky, for stepping in
Thank
for
you,
us.
Vicky.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you.
Attentive audience. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
very
Dory.
much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Diana.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the speakers.
Oh, you wore the shirt. Awesome.
Hi, that's it for you.
Perfect. You managed to get it in on time.
Yes.
Now we have to get Juliana one. Juliana and Tree and the flag.
Yeah. Please send me.
Yes, definitely. I'm sending
Cik
you the shirt
Rosmawati.
size.
So cute.
Thank you, Dr. Cik Rosmawati
I need
from
that.
UDKL
Bye.
Business School, from Malaysia,
Oh.
Indonesia, yeah, Thailand.
Okay, so I'll be ending the session now. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye.
Prof. K.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.